Valorant's new cinematic, Welcome to My World, just dropped a massive amount of lore. In the video, we get to see why Omega Earth's Valorant Legion fights back. It's almost like a response video to the Ego music video called Why We Fight, which is from Alpha's perspective. Most of Valorant's lore narrative is told from Alpha's perspective, so this is one of the first times we're learning a lot about what's happening within Omega Earth. From the start, we got some teasers explaining that Omega's Valorant Legion has been losing pretty much every single fight they've taken against Alpha Earth's Valorant Protocol, or VP for short. Omega Viper is frustrated and mad that they keep losing. Every fight costs lives, and means that Sage has to res and heal someone. As the cinematic starts, we see Legion's Chamber, Viper, and Brimstone fighting against the VP in Toronto, Canada. Chamber gets shot and goes down trying to cover for the others. Viper's heart sinks as she watches him fall. Panicked, she tries to get him, to save him, to help him, but Brim pulls her away from the fight and from her certain death. He forces her into a teleporter to go back to HQ. Omega Chamber's body is recovered and then seen in a hospital bed fully intubated and barely alive. Why hasn't Sage healed him more? Well, remember how we saw the cost of her resurrection in Ego? All the crystallized radianite that painfully formed up her face? That same thing is happening to Omega Sage. But given how many losses Legion has faced, she's much worse off. She's almost completely covered in those radianite crystals. They've set up a chamber infused with radianite to stabilize her and keep her alive while they figure out how to help her. Until or if Sage can recover, Chamber is stuck in that state. If you look closely, there are also several bodies lying next to him, covered up by the blankets. Several other agents have passed away and Sage is unable to help them given her condition. Since not even the smallest wounds on Chamber are healed at all, this leads me to believe that Skye could be one of those bodies. Otherwise, I think Skye would have helped Chamber heal up at least a little bit, you know? As this unfolds, we're shown flashbacks for Omega Breach, Yoru, and Sova's pasts. We see Omega Breach up in his home country of Sweden working on a kid's prosthetic leg. It's super sweet to see him helping others who also use prosthetics. Then, some sort of reality destabilization starts to occur as a rift forms. Yoru flashes back to Tokyo when the city was being destroyed by some kind of crazy phenomena. It sort of looks like a spike detonation, but it's much slower, and the VP has never been to Omega's Japan, considering that the map split is on Alpha Earth, so I don't think it's actually a spike. Regardless, whatever it is, it's destroying and killing everything in its wake. He's trying to save as many children as he can using his teleportation. He grabs 2 kids to take to safety, but another one is completely pinned under the rubble. He knows he can't save her in time, so he goes through his TP to take the other 2 to safety. You can see the anguish on his face as he makes the decision, showing just how much emotion Yoru truly feels. I'm sure this memory haunts him. Sova's perspective shows the first time Alpha and Omega Sova met one another. We can see the aftermath of Sova's ult. Alpha Sova has the upper hand on Omega Sova and cuts his right eye out. For a long time, we thought that Omega Sova was responsible for taking out Alpha Sova's eye, but the cinematic shows that at this point, Alpha Sova had already lost his eye, meaning that whatever story he told the VP about how he lost his eye was wrong. Of course, Cypher already knew that.
Sova, I accessed your background file. Good story, but that's not really how you lost your eye.
I even looked at a couple different cinematics, and Alpha Sova's eye doesn't have the same scarring as Omega's. He just has straight lines cut into his eyebrow. So it's all very interesting and makes me wonder what on earth actually happened to his eye. Then Omega Viper wakes up from her nightmare where she's reliving the events that led to Chamber getting hurt in Toronto. She fumbles for her mask to calm down her hyperventilation, and the memory of Chamber's comfort is the only thing that calms her down in that moment. The panic ceases, but all that's left is her anger at Brimstone for not letting her help him. For Brim's failings in all the recent missions. Now, as far as how much Brim himself has truly been the cause of their failure, I'm unsure. But regardless, they're taking too many losses. Omega Earth's Legion needs to win for the sake of their world. Omega Vipers had enough of Brimstone's leadership. Together with Sova, Breach, and Yoru, they strip Brim of his power and leadership, with Viper taking control. Their next move and mission is to attack the VP while they're not expecting it. Alpha's Reyna took Brimstone, Sova, Raze, and Killjoy to go see her sanctuary city where she takes care of those who were hurt by Kingdom's experiments on Radiance. The coordinates point to Michoacan, Mexico, a rural area located near a volcano. While they're enjoying dinner, Legion comes over to fight. Omega Sova shoots an arrow through Alpha Sova's only good eye. Viper grabs Raze, and I'm assuming she gets taken. Reyna gets really hurt or even dies to Sova's shock darts. Then Omega Viper and Alpha Brim get into a huge fight. Viper ultimately kills Brimstone at the end. For the first time in forever, Legion wins a fight against the Protocol. For vengeance. For survival. For everyone who can't do it themselves. That's why Legion fights back. At this point, we're not sure what happens next, but given the amount of injuries and deaths, I think Alpha Sage will be pushed to a similar point as Omega Sage. Alpha Sage has already had the crystallized Radianite form up her neck and cheek, and if she now has to res and heal so many more agents, she will definitely end up pushing her body too far. The cinematic was incredible and one of my favorites. I want to point out some small details that make it so much better. First, we get to see the full extent of Chamber's nanotech. The golden nanotech leaves his body to form his custom guns, and this is the first time we've seen just how extensive it is. Second, we see how ally agents aren't hurt by Viper's poison gas. Breach, Sova, and Yoru all have masks on to help keep them safe from the toxic gas. Third, when Viper takes off her mask while fighting Brim, she has what looks like tear stains all down her face where her makeup ran down it as well. It seems like she may have been crying on her way over to Alpha Earth. At first I thought it might be tears from the gas, but those tear stains are on her face as soon as she takes off her mask. Fourth, when Breach is helping the kiddo with his prosthetic, we can see him wearing a shirt with Dan the Penguin. As for my theories, take all of this with a grain of salt. When Legion and the Protocol are fighting in Toronto, it may have been the same time that Alpha's Protocol was there trying to plant tracers onto Atlas. We see Alpha Reyna shooting through the smoke with a phantom, which is the same thing she's doing at the start of Ego. And then we see the VP's aircraft flying off just like we saw happen in Ego. It could also be that we're going to be getting a Toronto map at some point this year. Maybe one where there's different weather, like rain? I'm leaning towards the former being the case, but let me know what you think. Considering that Raze seems to have been taken instead of killed or injured, brings up the old theory that when Raze was washed ashore on Breeze by herself, it was actually Omega Raze. Some theorize that the two Razes were switched. So now the theory might be that Omega has come to take their old Raze back. I'm not fully on board with this theory yet, but I thought it was worth mentioning since it could be a possibility. My other theory is that Legion wants more information on Alpha Earth, so they took Raze with the intent to question her and get answers from her. So what'd you think of the cinematic? What are your theories for V26? Let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. God bless. Bye!